From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Thursday morning. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you for starting your day with us. Our top story this morning, at least one death is being blamed on Hurricane Sally, and the devastation isn't over. The storm came ashore in Alabama yesterday morning and left behind a trail of destruction. CBS's Nancy Chin is in Florida this morning with a look at the damage.
Sally packed 105-mile-per-hour winds when it made landfall near Gulf Shores, Alabama yesterday morning.
We have a large tree. We heard it kapow. It was like a gun going off, and needless to say, we didn't sleep very well.
The destruction was widespread throughout southern Alabama and along the Florida Panhandle.
Everything destroyed, trees everywhere.
The Category 2 hurricane sank boats or tossed them onto land. It tipped over trucks, ripped the sides off buildings, and left behind endless trails of debris.
We started hearing all of our windows start to pop. Part of the roof started coming off and siding was ripping.
Richard Franzen's home survived, but the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in his backyard did not.
It's underwater. I lost some of my friends in Vietnam, but it's gone.
Heavy, relentless rain has left roads like these impassable. Officials here in Florida say it may be days before the floodwaters fully recede.
Be very, very careful. It is hazardous.
Governor Ron DeSantis says there have been hundreds of search and rescue missions already.
It's a lot more water than I think I expected. I really didn't think we were going to get this much.
Some in Panama City are tired of picking the pieces back up.
Everybody's on this little corner is just about to their wits' end. People are actually wanting to sell and leave.
After making landfall, Sally diminished to a tropical depression and is now drenching more of the southeast with its heavy rainfall. Nancy Chen, CBS News, Fort Walton Beach, Florida.
More than 500,000 people are without electricity in South Alabama and the Florida Panhandle. Rob joins us on the set now with a look at today's forecast. And man, it's just, it's hard to see the devastation down south. And then we have the smoke here and the actual fires, burning along the West Coast. And it's just,
there's something going on
everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, there really isn't any part of the United States right now, especially with the smoke, that isn't dealing with something. But boy, I can't imagine the devastation down there in the hurricane zone. A special welcome to our viewers and friends in Bozeman, Belgrade, Butte, also Great Falls today. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you on Montana This Morning. And you've got some murky air out there. Helena, Butte, Bozeman, all in the unhealthy category as far as air quality is concerned. Great Falls in the clear, as is Billings for the time being. Much of eastern Montana, northeastern Wyoming also looking pretty good right now. This is a check from the Q2 First Interstate ICAM in Billings. We've got some haze out there, clear skies, 50 degrees. And that haze is pretty common all the way across the northwest. We've got a light wind, southwest 9 miles an hour. This could be said for many communities, not just Billings. Air quality concerns remain today, still smoky. It'll be hazy and much warmer in many locations, including Billings on Friday. And then for most of the state, most of the region, weekend showers, a little bit cooler. We're looking for some weekend relief to come our way. And there are the air quality warnings right now for western Montana and northeast Wyoming. That's through the mid-morning hours today, Victoria.
And then the warning that was down in Wyoming, is that from Colorado? Smoke coming up? Or is just like
right now, when you look at the Cape of Smoke, it's all kind of stirred together.
Okay.
Fires all the way from the west and the southwest of us, but they're being fed more locally by some of the fires closer into that, off of the bighorns there.
Okay. All right. Well, Rob, thank you so much for answering all my questions.
You bet. Glad to be here.
Get back to the news. The debate over the availability of a COVID-19 vaccine continues to spark disagreements between health officials and politicians. The head of the CDC testified before Congress yesterday and said access to one is unlikely until the middle of next year. Dr. Robert Redfield said a limited vaccine supply could be available later this year, but will be reserved for at-risk individuals. President Trump disagreed with the timetable, saying as soon as one is announced, it will be ready to go for everyone. That announcement is expected as soon as next month. Western states continue to battle historic fires that have burned millions of acres in California, Oregon, and Washington state. Smoke from the fires is creating haze stretching to the east coast of the U.S. and even Europe. Medical experts say by the time it travels that far, it doesn't pose much of a health risk. For days, Portland, Oregon has had the worst air quality on Earth. And it's not only smoke in Washington, D.C., but also a plan to prevent major fires in the future. Montana Republican Senator Steve Daines is teaming up with the Democrat to address forest management in the western United States. Daines, along with California Senator Dianne Feinstein, announced the Emergency Wildfire and Public Safety Act of 2020. The bill would create a $100 million grant program to pay businesses to remove dead and dying trees. On top of that, the bill would speed up environmental reviews so officials have a better understanding of how devastating a fire would be to a given area.
We're at a critical time. The West is burning. People are dying. The smoke literally is starting to cover our country and our way of life as we know it's in danger. We can't run to our corners. We can't continue to fall to partisan politics. It's a time to come together, Democrats and Republicans, and pass meaningful forestry reform.
Feinstein said climate change is making things worse, but added their bill addresses the most direct and immediate causes of the fires. In campaign news, the race to become Montana's next governor is tightening, at least from a fundraising perspective. Democrat Mike Cooney raised $670,000 in the past month alone, pushing his campaign total to $2.5 million. Republican Greg Gianforte is still in front, though. He has raised $2.8 million so far. Montana's governor contest is considered the most competitive governor race in the nation. Recent polls have shown Gianforte with a single-digit lead. Continuing our coverage, Billings officials are still buzzing over the passage of the public safety mill levy. With Tuesday's vote, residents helped the city close the gap of a nearly $5 million deficit in the budget to $500,000. City Administrator Chris Kukulski says that's manageable and protects police and firefighting staff from being laid off.
This avoids us going back to staffing levels, say, of 2016, 2017. And that's really great news, because with not only our crime rates and response times, a challenge for us, all the demands for services are going up.
Kukulski stressed this levy won't pay for any growth in the departments. He said the budget deficit was partially caused by the hiring of 20 new full-time positions over the last 3 years, and taxpayers might not be off the hook. The city will likely ask for another levy in the near future. We're learning more about the suspects involved in a South Side shooting Tuesday evening that turned into a high-speed chase. 30-year-old Ryan Barnhart is facing felony charges, and his passenger, 21-year-old Gabriel Castro, is jailed on a previous arrest warrant. A police officer saw Barnhart exchanging gunfire with someone in another car. When police tried to pull him over, Barnhart took off, leading officers on a chase that reached speeds over 90 miles per hour. The suspects eventually crashed into a parked car at 5th Avenue South and South 34th Street. Castro was arrested on scene. Barnhart tried to get away and was found hiding. Montana parents will soon have instant access to the number of positive COVID-19 cases in their child's school. Governor Steve Bullock announced that it will be posted on the state's Department of Public Health and Human Services website and updated every Wednesday. Information on K through 12 and even the state's colleges and universities will be on the site. State Superintendent Elsie Arnson disagreed with the move, saying it will increase the risk of exposing personally identifiable medical information. The new normal means an early move for the Yellowstone County Elections Office. Typically, the office moves to Metro Park for the last 2 days of the election, but this year they'll do it on October 2nd. Officials say it will allow more room for election workers and more space for voters to social distance as they register to vote or pick up a ballot. Election workers stress it's extra important to register as soon as possible this year and to notify the county office if you've moved. The launch of legal sports betting in Montana came at the same time most events were put on hold. But they're back now, and that's good news for the state's gaming commission. Sportsbet Montana has raked in $5 million and paid out just over $4 million. Officials say most of the money they're making goes right back to Montana businesses. More than $364,000 has been paid to bars and casinos that offer sports wagering. And with the NFL season in full swing, officials expect that number to skyrocket.
This is probably the most popular sport in Montana. So we knew football was going to be a big deal, and it is. We're so glad that it's back.
In week one alone, Montanans bet almost $190,000 on NFL games. Now closer to home, officials have located the body of a Billings man who fell into the Boulder River near Natural Bridge back in May. The body of 38-year-old Joseph Crawford was discovered by a cave explorer below the falls. Crawford was hiking in the area south of Big Timber when he walked off the marked trail and fell 50 to 60 feet into the water. And now we have some important information for anyone who has not yet received a stimulus check. As reporter Alicia Nieves shows us, there are a few things you can do to get the CARES Act funding you're entitled to.
The House will be in order.
With Congress unable to agree on another stimulus package, the CARES Act may have been the only chance for many to get an economic impact payment or stimulus check. But millions still haven't received that. Roughly 9 million people are still owed at least $1,200, and another 2 to 3 million people are entitled to and have been fighting for the $500 for each of their eligible dependents.
Well, I think there's a whole combination of factors for why people haven't received their checks.
Nina Alston is the executive director for the Center of Taxpayers' Rights.
The IRS has just announced it's sending letters out to the 9 million folks.
So what do these people need to do to get their stimulus checks? They have to take action. Either go to the IRS's website and fill out the non-filer's form or file a tax return.
It's also really important that people realize that if they use the non-filer portal, they won't be able to claim the earned income credit. Those people need to file a regular return rather than using the non-filer portal. And I don't think the IRS has done a really good job about telling people that.
The earned income credit could be worth up to $6,000. Now, for the 2 to 3 million people still eligible for $500 per dependent,
for Social Security retirees and disabled persons, it gave them less than 48 hours to go online. If they had children, that meant that they could get an additional $500 and enter that on the non-filer portal. Well, you know, a lot of these folks don't have online access. It actually took a lawsuit that is still in the process of being settled to force the IRS to reopen the portal.
Those still eligible to claim their dependents have until the end of September to claim them through the IRS's non-filers portal. The estimated 9 million non-filers eligible for the full economic impact payment have until October 15th to take their required action. And you don't have to wait for the IRS's letter to do so. If you think you are amongst those eligible, you can go again to the IRS's website and fill out the non-filers form now. I'm Alicia Nieves reporting.
Thank you so much.